Live and local from WAFB, this is 9 News at 6.
Good evening, friends. Thanks for joining us. I'm Elizabeth Vowell. Greg has the night off. From the WAFB team, dozens of people filed into the Baton Rouge District Courthouse today to support a convicted murderer who was locked away 3 decades ago. He claims his conviction was based off of a forged indictment, something the district attorney vehemently denies. In court today, Lee Lucas had a defense lawyer, but he made his own arguments based on his own research. The latest courtroom showdown had prosecutors pushing back. Chief Investigator Chris Nakamoto has the play-by-play on what went down. Chris.
Good evening, Liz. Twists and turns at the 19th JDC as Lee Lucas fights for his freedom. Today, his attorney said his indictment and many others are being called into question because they believe the foreperson on the grand jury didn't actually sign them.
Justice delayed is justice denied.
5 months after protesters gathered in the rain to support convicted murderer Lee Lucas,
What do we want? Justice! What do we want it? Now!
it appears their cries have been heard. Wednesday at the 19th Judicial District Courthouse, Lee Lucas presented arguments before Commissioner Keena Kimball. With no formal legal education, Lucas cited case law in his arguments, which had the commissioner asking him to repeat some of those cases he was referring to.
Lee Lucas isn't like anybody else. And normally, as an attorney, we would, advise that our client remain silent and let us do the talking. But Mr. Lucas has studied his case for 30 years. He knows it better than anybody else. And he and I have spent enough time together to know that he knows what he's talking about.
At issue is this indictment obtained by the WAFB team that Lucas discovered through a public records request nearly 25 years into his life sentence for the killing of Eric Howard. Lucas alleges the name of the foreperson listed on the indictment, James Brooks, was forged, as you can see with the different handwriting that appears on the indictment. In addition to that, the list of grand jury forepersons at the time, which is a public record, shows no one named James Brooks serving on a grand jury.
Obviously, this calls into the question the constitutionality of every indictment that came out of that office at that time. And the minutes and the ledgers and the indictments, they all say different things. And so I think there needs to be a much larger investigation into the office at the time, into the implications of this, and how many people's constitutional rights were violated as a result, and how many people served time in prison for crimes that they were never actually indicted for.
District Attorney Hiller Moore and multiple prosecutors were in court this afternoon. Moore was not the district attorney at the time of Lucas's indictment, but denied the allegations Lucas is making.
Completely bogus, made up. This is an orchestrated media event to try to have this gentleman be released from jail. There's absolutely no fact, no truth, no reality to the fact that anything was forged. They just don't understand the grand jury process. I think they're confusing grand juries and grand jury books and documents.
Security was extremely tight, with Moore and prosecutors getting a police escort in and out of the building. Why was security needed for someone who's been incarcerated for 30 years?
We don't comment on security matters.
In court, prosecutors did not refute the claims by Lucas or his lawyer that the indictment was forged, instead putting the onus on the defendant, who should have found the information sooner.
I think it says everything it needs to say. I mean, the fact that they cannot, in open court, as officers of the court, swear that this indictment was not forged tells us everything we need to know.
Tonight, Moore says the reason why his prosecutors didn't push back is because today's hearing was about procedural timelines, not evidence. He stands behind Lucas's conviction and the indictment from 30 years ago.
If there was any evidence that I saw or thought that this indictment had been forged or this indictment was invalid, I wouldn't have to wait on a defense lawyer to file any motion or a defendant to file any motion. I would take the action on my own. I've looked at everything in this case. This indictment is valid. The allegations are not true. They're not accurate. They're not factual. Had I thought that they were true, I would have been the first to take action and not have to wait on anyone.
Now, in February of this year, I did speak with some of Eric Howard's relatives at their home. Although they did not want to be interviewed, they believe Lucas is the person who killed their loved one. Commissioner Kimball will make a recommendation to Judge Carson Marcantel as to whether she believes a hearing should be held. Kimball expects to make that decision by the first quarter of next year. For the WAFBI team, I'm Chris Nakamoto. Liz?